just barely catches it. Now Limon is going to try and overtake on Fonseca. Fonseca gives that one up, almost a little too wide there for Limon. Holds tough and sending it deep around the banking, and Shell Oil, he's going to take the spot back. Fonseca, that was a brilliant move. This is full drift here from the Japanese driver. Watch this. Unreal. That car should not be still going. That is just seat of your pants stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just kind of landed a little bit wrong for him, but fortunately, at least pointed in the right direction. This was crazy, though.
And hasn't been shaken, but man, they see close to that wall.
Look at the oversteer. He looks to the inside. Michael tried to cover off. He's going to squeeze him down a little bit. Tries to open up the corner. Cut back and see if he can get the launch, and it's much quicker off. Oh, but he covers him down to the inside.
Oh my goodness, covers him down to the inside. I think there may have been a little bit of contact there, but Michael Johnson going to get the benefit of the draft here. You can see him closing down on the back of the 79. And there's the late move from Michael going down to the inside, trying to get into the braking zone.
The red mist is up for these two, and down into the braking. Can Johnson get it done? Yes, he does. Don't count out Travis. Tries to cut back. Goes the long way around. Nothing doing. No, he holds tight. He could try and get it in there. No, now he starts to fall back.
Starts to fall back. Going to try to send it a little bit on the outside of 15. Sometimes you can get a crossover there, but not going to work. He's going to have a wider line now into Turkey to try to carry a little bit more speed, but he's not going to find an easy way to try to get on by. And indeed, Michael Johnson just slides that car off the apex a little bit to prevent off any attack.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.
After 11 races, it's come down to Daytona for the GTO class. Drivers have been saying that if it needs to be decided here, your fate is most certainly not in your hands. This might make it difficult pill to swallow for whoever is on the losing end of things. Let's see who gets to celebrate after today as we get ready to watch round 12 of the Kamel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Daytona International Speedway has seen Kamel race here plenty of times, but in case our viewers are not familiar, why don't we head to our track guide. Welcome to the Daytona International Speedway. While many oval fans associate this Central Florida track with mainly NASCAR, the road course has gained just as much worldwide fame thanks to it hosting motorcycles and sports cars for decades. In fact, the flagship road race, the 24 Hours of Daytona, has become a major draw for drivers of all disciplines, many eager to have a go at endurance racing. The stats make this place sound relatively simple, with 12 corners on the regular road circuit and 14 on the NASCAR version, both spread amongst 3.5 miles. Indeed, a majority of the lap is spent on the oval portion, where you fly along the notoriously steep banking. But it's easy to underestimate the challenge presented to the drivers. The infield portion begins with the scary kink entry of Turn 1. Not only is it the fastest part of the track, but the transition from the banking to the flat tends to upset the car as you slow it down. There's also the bus stop chicane on the backstretch. Added in the 80s, this is a tricky piece of circuit that punishes a poor exit severely, with it leading back into the latter half of the oval. As you'd expect, the long periods on throttle mean that drafting tends to play a factor in the racing. It also means passing isn't usually too great of an issue if you have the pace to catch someone. The more difficult thing is managing to gap your opponent so that they don't ride in your slipstream once you get by. With half a century of endurance racing collected among these walls, it's not unfair to say that road racers have just as much claim to call Daytona home. Fans who come to watch certainly won't be disappointed by the high speeds and fantastic thrills it invariably provides each year. Well, Adam, this is going to be an interesting one to say the least, with a championship on the line and a track that is known for tossing up unexpected results.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. The Daytona road course is one of the most infamous circuits in Kamel GT history, and for good reason. While the GTPs feel very at home on this 3.56 mile or 5.73 kilometer 12-turn circuit, the Audis also feel very comfortable. So what's the problem? Well, it's in the Audis, and it's twofold. First up is the oval portions. The high banks and flat-out nature of the circuit creates massive drafting trains that can include the entire Audi field most of the time, until the GTPs come through, which is problem number two. Oftentimes, GTPs will feel they're owed the apexes in the infield section and through Le Mans, but by making their late dives and taking the apexes away from the GTOs, they can often break the draft for the Audi being passed, effectively removing them from contention for the win. Add to this fact the fact that the GTO championship is yet to be decided, and that tensions are running high between the two classes in the paddock, and you've got a recipe for a tense nail-biter of a race, Joe.
Absolutely. And, well, if we take a look at the nail-biter of the championships, it's not unfortunately going to be the GTPs. Heitor Sintes Galindo has already wrapped things up. Unfortunately, this is actually, I believe, incorrect information, but he is, as you can see, still already well ahead by now. It's a 49-point gap between Sintes Galindo and Martin Krajcik, who sits in second. It's a very close fight between Krajcik and Olsen, however, who are separated by a mere 8 points between them. So that second place is up for grabs. And then Mosquera and Maciejewski only split by a single point for the fourth place in the GTPs. But really, the talking point, and what probably will be the talking point here today, is the GTO championship, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. And the GTO's Phil Lake leads Yuko Leskala by 4 points. This means that Phil Lake needs to finish in second or higher, and he will clinch the championship. But around Daytona, that is not a sure bet. Nick Makanos is 28 points back of Yuko Leskala, so outside the reach of even a win, giving him that position. So Nick Makanos, the best he could possibly do is third. But with Javier Del Olmo 13 points back, unless Nick has a bad day, Javier is going to be stuck in fourth position. So third and fourth likely locked up. Reed Miller, 7 points back of Javier Del Olmo, could be a different story, though, but that all depends on both of them is here.
Now, as for today's race details, it's your typical fare here in Kamel. It is a 40-minute event, as we mentioned. It's the season finale here of the 12-race season. No spare car in this series, so if you get any sort of damage, you're really going to suffer around here because you don't want to lose your top-end speed. It is open setup, which will also be something where drivers will probably be trying to see how much they can trim them out and be quick in a straight line. And they have some drive-through penalties, one for 17 incidents, a disqualification, actually, if you get 25 out there. Probably not as big of a concern, although you can rack up incidents through the Le Mans chicane if you get a little bit too greedy through there. And right now, they are in the midst of the qualifying, and Heitor Sintes Galindo has got himself the provisional pole, but not by a whole lot, over Laust Olsen.
Yeah, absolutely. The GTB is putting in their times. Looking at the GTO times as well, Yuko Leskala currently on pole by 0.5 over Nick Makanos, as Farron Grau puts in a good time to go second, just ahead of Laust Olsen by 2/100ths of a second, rather. I see a name, though, in the GTO list that I haven't seen in a while on a broadcast stint, but is very familiar to anyone in the Kamel community. Caradine Boafia. Ooh, this is going to be sketchy for the championship, Joe, because Caradine usually is running top three, at least, if not winning the race. This could determine the championship if Caradine sets a good time here.
Oof. Well, This is Phil Lake is going to have to hope that maybe Nick Mukanos is a little more willing to help him out today. And we'll see as it gets farther on in the race, or if it's even needed, though, because we don't know. Maybe Boafia will be a little bit off pace in the end. Still, Sintez Galindo at the top of the GTPs after his second lap. But Timothy Vaughn has come within 600ths of a second, and it's less than a tenth back to Farron Grau in third. Things are incredibly tight in the prototypes currently. Vaughn is actually on his second lap. Could he maybe steal this pole away?
Be awesome to see Vaughn do that. Timothy has been improving recent times. He's coming down to Le Mans. Just very close to that outside barrier, a little bit wide through the second apex. Let's see whether or not he can improve. I can report Javier Del Olmo puts it in second position. Phil Lake's down to fourth now in the GTOs, but Timothy Vaughn with a good shot at trying to take pole away from Heitor Sintez Galindo. Can he improve? He needs better than a 1:30.5. Trying to cross the line here. I'm not sure he's going to make it. No, he's slow.
Well, he had not had a pole yet this season. I'm sure Timothy would have liked to have been able to do that, but Heitor is going to make it his second pole of the season with that performance out there. Krejcik on his final flyer, certainly taking it right to the edge as he kicked up a fair bit of dust there coming through Le Mans, but I think it was all inbounds and coming down to the start-finish line in the final minute of this qualifying. Not
Joe,
sure.
I don't think Carradine's going to set a time. He crossed the line with about 1:40 to go, and it's 1:42.6 for Yuka on pole. So unless Carradine is like 2 to 3 seconds faster, which I couldn't imagine, I'm not sure he's going to be able to get this lap done in time.
Oh, well, that's good news for fans of Phil Lake. But yeah, the first lap time being discounted for the 21 is a horrible thing for him, as he's also having a bit of connection issues, it appears. In the meantime, looking back at some of our other runners out here, the number 40 of Gabrielete is coming out of the International Horseshoe. But he's already finished both of his qualifying laps, and that last one put him about 3 seconds behind Gianluca Gabbiani. So Gabriel might be a little bit off pace here today.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gabriel, 3 seconds back of Gianluca Gabbiani, as you said. So got some work to do. Pablo Rangel finishes his practice and pulls over. Carradine's onto the back stretch, but with 17 seconds to go, there's no way he's making it back.
Yeah, he was our last one that could potentially set a time, but down to 10 seconds to go. It's going to be extremely close, but he's just shy of it. And again, blinking. I wonder if the blinking actually discounted his lap instead over anything else that he was experiencing. And that one did not count for him regardless. So our starting grid for today sees Heitor Sintez Galindo on the pole. Timothy Vaughn will be second, and then Farron Grau will be third. Laust Olsen starts from fourth. Ove Trangerade is on the inside of row 3. Martin Krejcik will start to his outside. It's Javier Mascara starting seventh. Seamus Power starts in eighth. Fifth row has Stefan Leslie and Emerson Gaudin. Romain Bello is going to be in 11th. You've got Ed Ray in 12th. After that, Unai Lamas in the 13th position. Jeffrey Furcon will start from 14th. Serge Sorovnikin in 15th will start with Kyle Graham to his outside. Alvaro Cortines, last one to set a time in the GTPs. Diego Mastretta, Carlos Fonseca, Jack Spickett, Jason Clapper, Kurt Clapper, Roger Saucier, and Mikey Olson all did not set a time.
Then we got Yuko Leskala on pole with Javier Del Olmo alongside him. Nick Mukanos in third and Phil Lake in fourth. That's not good enough to win the championship for Phil in that fourth position. Robert Plumley starts off fifth with Mark Olay in sixth position. Andre Schumacher is back and putting in a seventh best time with Pavel Rangel in eighth position. Hideki Koivisto in ninth. 10 is Gregorio Buscemi. They got Jose Wilcox in 11th position. Jamie Hamill-Smith lining up in 12th. And we got Gianluca Gabbiani in the 13th position with Gabriel Letty in 14th. Then we have our drivers who did not set times. Carradine Boafia. We got Javier Delgado, Tyler Moody, Miguel Perez Edessa rounds out your 18 Audis and your 41 cars today. And just a special note, we know that Franco Scurry is down with the sickness, and so we want to give a special ciao a tutti for Franco today.
Hope he is able to feel better pretty quickly as the pace car already takes off. It's an early morning race here in Florida at almost 8:30 a.m. virtual standard time, which, as you can imagine, means that the temperatures are rather cool. 74 Fahrenheit, 23 Celsius on the track surface itself. A little bit of wind, but not too great. We'll see whether or not that affects any of the Nissans and some of the infield corners around here. So obviously not a full pace lap for the new Daytona, as they'll start on the backstretch and come around to the start-finish line. Sintez Galindo is just looking for the icing on the cake from here. He's tied at 4 wins with Maciejewski, who's his main rival for part of the season, but unfortunately did not show up enough to challenge him. And he'll try and make it one more and have the most wins of anybody out there. Laust Olsen has had a single win along with him, and Tapia Vico and Alex Gal have also claimed wins so far this season. There goes the pace car. Sintez Galindo is on it early. Green flag is out here at Daytona. Big jump for Aitor. Behind him, it's going to be a battle for second place. And as they fly down into the break into the first corner, Grau is deep on the binders, able to sneak through. Timothy Vaughn slots into third. Looks like everybody in the GTPs are good. Let's go to the GTOs.
GTOs having a fairly clean start for the moment. Phil Lake stuck on the outside there with Robert Plumley trying to stick his nose up the inside and take that position away. Plumley is going to be alongside Phil Lake for that 4th position, as side by side now between Javier Del Olmo and Nick McConnell, as Nick McConnell's trying to make it go around the outside here. Oh, look at this. Yuka Leskala sliding it through the first turn. I don't think that was intentional, but he did put on a show as to why this Audi is known for its rallycross heritage.
Oh, and Sintez Galindo had an off. Our leader in the GTPs nearly spun off coming out of the kink of all places. Not usually a trouble zone for these cars.
Well, with the cars trimmed out, it makes sense. The cars have very cold tires, and with the cars trimmed out as possibly as they can be, he's way back there now.
Yeah, he fell down to 8th. It could have been a lot worse, and he avoided any sort of major damage. Now, the underside of the car might have experienced a bit bounding over the grass like that, but Farron Grau has an open door in front of him, and he's got Timothy Vaughn trying to chase behind. As I'm also keeping an eye on our GTOs, and Phil Lake, who is leading the championship, is right now not in the position he needs to be. Leskala, as it would sit, would take the championship as we go side by side. Del Olmo alongside Mukanos, and Del Olmo comes out the victor.
That's a very dangerous thing to do for both drivers. They could possibly lose Yuko Leskala due to that kind of a move. If they keep going side by side like that, they're going to lose the draft of Leskala, so they got to be careful. Phil Lake tucking in behind his teammate, his Dirty Torque teammate of Nick McConnell. They're going to try and push draft past Javier Del Olmo as Yuko Leskala starts to be drawn back towards them.
Into the braking, they're going to have to go the long way around. Will Del Olmo give it up? He's trying not to, but the car looks squirrely. Mukanos gets through. Lake does not. And Del Olmo fights back as he gets a good exit. He could try and pass on Nick Mukanos, who holds down to the inside. And will this... Oh, no, he goes off. He is into the barrier. Javier Del Olmo has handed over that podium position now to Phil Lake. He'll be able to get back onto the track, but not without severe damage.
Yeah, we had another wreck between Kyle Graham and Miguel Perez Adesa, I believe, between the two of them, and that happened in the first turn as well. Kyle Graham started from the pits and is trying to cut through the field, just made some contact there with one of the slower GTOs, so he's fallen back as well. But Farron Grau currently leads this race in the GTPs by 1 second over Timothy Vaughn. Laust Olsen half a second back, and then they're all tied together.
So I'm curious, Adam, because as we watch this battle between Olsen and Krejcik coming down into the tri-oval, that's Olsen covering the inside in the yellow and blue. Is it possible to manage the tires after that big slide in the International Horseshoe from Leskala, or will he pay for that later?
Oh, I think he'll be okay. I mean, Yuka Leskala is fine with a loose race car more than most anyone. So, had a problem for Stefan Leslie. Off in turn 1, able to recover and get back on track. Quite a few drivers having a little bit of problems with on hard braking as well. But I think Yuko's going to be okay. But Nick McConnell getting passed by Phil. Phil needs to make this pass in order to take the championship. And Nick's not going to challenge him. So the question is Nick going to be rear gunner for Phil, or is Plumley going to be able to sneak by?
I got to think that Nick's going to play rear gunner because he didn't fight that too hard. It looked like he tried to break early to let him through, but then prevent Plumley from getting past him. Either case, it worked out in their favor. I guess the other question is, can Phil catch up to Yuko? There's about a second and a half between himself and the leader right now, because that's the ideal situation. If he could even just stay with him, that will help him out tremendously.
Well, and the other trick for Yuko Leskala is he needs to win this race, because even if they battle and wreck out, Phil still gets it. Even if they battle and wreck slightly and Yuko still finishes a couple positions ahead of Phil Lake, it's likely that Phil will still get the championship. So Yuko Leskala needs to win this race, and he's praying that Phil falls afoul of some of the traffic. And speaking of the traffic, the GTPs are just entering turn 1 as the back of the GTOs are starting to go onto the oval. So we're about half a lap away from that.
That's Moody in the 38 that you just saw that was slow in the Western Horseshoe. Looks like there was an off there. But this is Leskala now in the number 1. Yeah, as far as the situation goes for Leskala, if he finishes, I believe it's 12th or lower, actually a 13th or lower, 12th would tie him and he'd win the tie if they both don't score. But 13th or lower would mean that Leskala does not take the championship no matter what happens to Phil Lake. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. We want to see a straight fight between these two legends in this class.
And Ed Rie off track on the the Western Horseshoe rather. And it's very slow trying to get back on here.
Yeah, I think he's doing the right thing. He's trying to wait for the rest of the field to go by, and that's going to allow him to get up to speed. Ahead of him, it looks like Sorovikin also had a bit of an off in turn 6, and he gets back up to pace now himself. This is looking a lot trickier than I anticipated. This is a battle for the lead. Grau and Vaughn, and it's going to be Vaughn going around the outside, as Farron Grau cannot do much to hold him back until they get to the braking zone. He'll have the inside. He's going to have to be deep onto it, and he is, as Timothy's going to wait for a better opportunity later. Or will he try to cut back under? No, not quite.
Thought about it, but there wasn't enough room there. But yeah, I mean, I think these GTPs are as trimmed out as you can get, to be honest, around here, Joe. And I'm not sure whether that's the smart strategy. I mean, it makes sense, though, considering you got half the lap that's a straightaway. So you don't want to be carrying too much extra downforce around here. And that's why you're seeing these drivers really struggle, because they're not getting the downforce that they're used to on those rear tires.
I almost wonder, though, if it's sort of a Nürburgring situation wherein there, you want a trimmed out car, but you also want a car that is stable because you just want to get to the finish. And the way we've seen so many fall by the wayside here now, I don't think, we don't have any DNFs yet that I can see. You're going to be, it looks like a lot of guys have gained track position just by keeping their stuff on the road.
Can we go back to P7 in the GTOs? It's almost 4 wide with these guys. This is Caradine Boafia, who's trying to make his way back forward. And look at lots of opportunistic moves being made here in this pack.
Marco Lay,
way too deep.
I was going to say, I don't think he's making the corner. He outbraked Caradine, and usually you don't outbrake Caradine by that degree. So he loses 4 positions just with that one slip up.
Yeah, absolutely. So Caradine just trying to recover from not setting that qualifying time. Looks like the connection's been stable, obviously, knock on wood here for Caradine, ever since starting this race. But yeah, just trying to make that recovery drive work for sure.
Doing a good job so far. He's already passed a lot of cars.
Plumley has made it past Nick Meccano, so it looks like Andre Schumacher has taken a tow. And look at this battle in the GTPs between Mascara.
Oh, and was that Caradine going off? No, that was Moody, excuse me. That was Tyler Moody, who is exiting stage left. And,
oh, goodness. That was Stephen Leslie.
Car popped up into the air, and this happened actually.
Oh no! It was a rejoin.
Yeah, it was going off in front of him. Looks like he had a little target fixation and spun, but when he tried to get turned around, poor Cortinez came around the blind turn 1, and that was it for that.
Wow, this is a much more chaotic race than I was expecting. Lead of the race is getting changed hands, though, for the GTOs. Phil Lake trying to go around the outside as we see a wreck in the GTPs as well. Lots of action all over the track.
And Leskala's got the inside to the outside. It's Phil Lake. He's going to open himself up to Plumlee if he's not careful. Plumlee's right there. He's going to take a look. He doesn't care about the championship. He wants as good of a finish as he can get. He knows a podium is on the cards here, and job is not done. Look at that four-wheel drive helping out Phil Lake.
Nick Bacano's able to get a drive off as well as Plumlee, I think, misshifted coming off of the International Horseshoe. That puts him back to 4th position. Nick Bacano's is going to have to turn up his rear gunner a little bit to try and keep Plumlee behind. As Yuko Leskala starts blinking, this could be bad news for Yuko if he has a connection issue. Both Finns having connection issues today.
Not sure what's happening with the internet over in Finland, but certainly doesn't seem to be serving them well. And coming on to...
happened today.
Yeah, coming on to the oval, Yuko Leskala is going to give a big toe to Phil Lake. Question is, how hard does he want to fight this? Does he want to try and finish ahead? He's going to go for it. He's got the inside. No defense from the Finn, interestingly. Into the braking, though. What's going to happen here? Oh, he's going to fight it. He's going to fight it. They're going to go wheel to wheel completely through Le Mans. And now back onto the oval. It is still side by side. And oh, little contact behind them between Mukanos and Plumlee.
This is what Phil Lake was afraid of. This entire situation where all these cars are just bottled up under one roof right now. Plumlee is going to try and make the 3-wide mover on the outside to try and take the lead of this race.
Yeah, but he hit a brick wall there. Unfortunately, it just got out of the air and went nowhere.
He is the brick wall. The Audi is the brick wall. They just move into the path of the air.
I guess all in all, it's just another brick hitting the wall of air. So as Plumlee slots back into 3rd, Phil Lake somehow retains that 2nd place, but it is not safe by any stretch of the imagination, and once again, does not have his teammate behind him.
Yeah, Plumlee is looking very opportunistic, Joe. This is going to be very interesting to see what Plumlee wants to do, because he's really the one who's got the championship in his hands at this point.
A little wide there from Leskala coming through the Western Horseshoe. We're trying to keep an eye on the GTPs, don't worry, but if that erupts, we'll head there right now. There's a lot more on the line than the race itself that you're seeing in the GTOs. This is 12 weeks worth of trying, all come down to who can essentially finish ahead, except if you're Phil Lake, who just needs to sit tight where he is, but he can't really sit tight right now.
No, we definitely can't. And our leaders in the GTPs are cutting through the GTOs right now as well. It's going to be a while till they get up to this pack, but that's going to start to define. That's good. When the GTPs, you can see them in the background there. When they start cutting through this group, that's going to define this race, and it's going to determine who's going to have a good position here in this GTO pack. And here we go, riding on board with a couple of our GTPs that are trying to cut through here.
Yeah, this is Vaughn that we're riding with. That's Grau just in front of him. Don't think they're going to get to those top 4 here before turn 1.
Plumlee's taking away the lead.
He is indeed. He's going around the outside, though. Leskala is going to have the desired line, but he brakes a little bit early, or does Plumlee brake too late? A little bit of a bobble down into the braking zone for Phil Lake. He holds onto it. Plumlee's not done. Neither is Leskala. He's still side by side as they weave through the chicane leading into the International Horseshoe. Very shallow entry for Robert Plumlee. Leskala could take this one back despite being on the outside. We've seen the four-wheel drive work beautiful, but no, it carries on.
I can report that Lars Stolzen and Martin Krajcik got cleared out by some GTOs as we're watching this GTO lead battle. Still side by side for Plumlee and Yuko Leskala into the braking for the Western Horseshoe. Yuko Leskala trying to make it work around the outside. It's going to be hard to do in the Audi.
I do believe if his 2nd and 3rd for Leskala and Lake respectively finishes that way, I think Lake still takes the championship. This is not a scenario that we had necessarily planned on.
Yes, it is. The lower down they go, the more beneficial it is for Phil Lake if Yuko's ahead of Phil. So Yuko needs to win this race in order to have a good opportunity to beat Phil Lake on this championship.
Oh, Lake's looking for the pass and boxes in Yuko. Yuko brakes early. Lake brakes late. Can he make the corner is the question. Yes, he does. Unbelievable.
Barely and very slow off the exit. Here come more of the drivers. Ove Traeger, Nasor Sintez Galindo, third and fourth now as they go by. Yuko Lesko's going to look to the outside of Plumley, box Plumley in here. Nick McConnell's with the head of steam. Where's he going to go here?
I think he's content to sit behind for the time being. Leskala, though, is going to try and get that lead back. He knows he needs that no matter what right here, especially with Plumley throwing a wrench into things, but he goes extremely deep, way too deep. He's going to go completely off. Is he going to miss the barriers? He does. Can he keep up is the question.
He's got his speed going. He's going to have to be crazy to make it through the infield and stay on the draft of these guys. While we were watching that, if we could get a replay, Timothy Vaughn and Farron Grau were side by side going into turn one. Farron outbraked himself, and Timothy Vaughn was able to get by.
So, new leader in the GTPs. There you see them swapped places on screen. We'll see if we can pull up that replay. And Sintez Galindo's actually not all that far behind them. He's got Trangrade along with him. Wonder if he could try and catch back up. He's been doing a good job trying to recover from his incident on lap one, but he's got about 2.5 seconds to try and get there. Here is the pass between Vaughn and Grau.
Still side by side, they went into turn one, and Farron Grau just took it too deep on the inside, outbraked himself, and Timothy Vaughn misses the apex by quite a bit, but still is able to pull up ahead of Grau, and that was your pass for the lead. I can report, Yuko Leskala only 5/10 back of Nick Bacanos, so he's still attached to the back of this group, but that's 2 slides from Leskala. The infield's going to start to feel like an ice rink for him, Joe.
He can't do that too much more here. It is cool temperatures, but he can overheat those tires, and he will be severely disadvantaged. Phil Lake is not going to give him any quarter, but what about the likes of Plumley? And he is going to take the lead away. Wonder if Phil will fight him a little less than he would Leskala, who's going to try and take third off of Mukanos and do so around the outside. And guess what, Phil? Your friend is back. In fact, he's going to try to take your position.
Yeah, but the outside of that corner slopes away from the apex a little bit, so Yuko Lesko falling off the track a little bit there. They're going to be approaching a slow GTO here. Miguel Perez Edesa actually took a tow right beforehand. Riding on board now with Yuko Lesko as he's trying to wheel this thing up and get past Phil and put himself in front of Robert and Phil and try and keep Robert between the two of them.
I don't have the full stats with me. Oh, is side by side into the Western Horseshoe. Still comes out with Phil Lake ahead of him, but Lesko is trying everything now. I can't recall any time we've ever seen Robert Plumley take a victory in either class in this series, unless you have something.
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah. So this would be a first for him as far as we can tell. Somebody in the peanut gallery can let us know if that is not correct. That was a strange little weave from Phil Lake. Not sure what he was doing there.
Doesn't need to protect this position. Remember, all he needs is second position in order to take this. That's Laust Olsen, who's going to take a very opportunistic move up the inside there. But Phil Lake very deep again. This is going to set him up for a pass from Plumley once again. This is such a fascinating battle. I mean, it's a draft battle, so I know the drivers are not necessarily enjoying themselves right now. But it's still fascinating to see the strategy here. Nick McConnell has a real head of steam, but he can't go around because they've got GTPs passing them now. That's the battle for 9th position between Jack David Spickett, Roman Bello, and Jason Clapper as the GTO leaders try and slot in behind them.
See, if you're Robert Plumley, I think you're having a hell of a time right now. He's enjoying himself tremendously, I'm sure. But if you're Lake and Yuko, then you are waving frantically out the window, wanting him to get out of the way.
Yeah, but Plumley has earned his right to be there because of his good qualifying position, and so he's going to stick in that pack. He's going to be the thorn in the side of this lead battle the entire race, and there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Just an update, Vaughn still leads Grau, but it's about 0.3 of a second between them. Again, we'll try and watch that to see if that changes anywhere. In the more lap traffic, that's Carlos Fonseca just behind them. And that actually caught out Mukanos quite a bit.
This is what I was talking about pre-race, Joe. Now, Mukanos now 1 second behind Yuko Leskola. He might lose the draft of these three because they're all going to have each other to draft off of, and he's now a second and a half back.
We've had a huge accident in the Western Horseshoe. Surovikin in the 36 involved in that. And, it was one of the GTOs. It was Gregorio Buscemi as well. And then, unfortunately, they came back across the track and took out a couple more cars on top of things. Javier Del Olmo, one of them. Looks like Jamie Hamill-Smith and Pablo Rangel.
Yeah, absolutely. So gigantic recap. Robert Plumley had a misshift a little bit coming into the bus stop that threw him off. So now he's closing in behind Phil Lake and Yuko Leskola, who are once again side by side. He's going to try and make it 3 wide for the lead, because why not? What do you got to lose, Robert? Here we go.
It's going to be on the very outside of them, and yeah, he breaks early. He doesn't feel like this is going to do much unless he can maybe cut back. Looks like he might be trying side by side between Lake and Leskola. It carries on again down into the International Horseshoe. We've seen this a couple times already in this race, and now it's going to be a drag race off of that right-hander, and still nobody is willing to give way. Phil Lake, though, looks like he doesn't quite have the speed that Leskola does. Inside of the kink for Leskola, but that's the outside for the Western Horseshoe. Can he chop down across him? No, he can't. Lake is still there.
This is one of the greatest battles, championship battles, that we have had in GSRC history, to be honest with you. Still side by side. Half a lap now between Phil Lake and Yuko Leskola. Yuko with a better run off the corner. Phil's going to have to take it wide. They're not side by side any longer. Phil drops in behind. Farron Grau, while we've been watching this, is side by side with Timothy Vaughn. Vaughn still retains the lead, but that was a close battle between the two of them. Look at this. Phil Lake now side by side with Yuko Leskola again. Who's going to outbreak each other coming into Le Mans?
Hard to tell where to look. Our board director working overtime today, and Leskola has to get back into second once again behind Phil Lake. If you're Leskola, though, do you fight this hard, or do you maybe just try and stay patient and play the game to the end as somebody else is off in the Western Horseshoe?
I mean, I fight this hard and try and make Phil Lake make a mistake. That's Gianluca Gabbiani, who had another issue there. But yeah, I mean, I try and force Phil Lake into a mistake this race, because as it stands, with Phil being tied to you by the hip, you're not winning this championship, Yuko. He's got to make Phil drop back. Otherwise, this isn't going to work for him. So battling Phil this hard is putting Phil Lake in a position where he might make a mistake, and that's your best case scenario.
And Yuko's best friend is pretty much Plumley.
Oh no, it's Carradine who's right on the back of these guys.
Are
now,
you
Joe.
serious? Oh my goodness.
From not qualifying at all, he's now clinging to the back of this battle.
And off the track there for Leskola. He holds it together without running into anybody, but 2 wheels in the dirt, almost feeds his rival off into the grass. Looks like a better exit this time for Phil Lake. He's going to have the inside coming through turn 6, and that's back to the lead. Now, these are not the type of guys that try to push each other, force each other off the track. They race hard, but don't anticipate anything dirty through here. Oh, and a little contact, though, for a brief moment there.
Plumley's going to take an opportunistic move to the outside. Nick McConnell wanted to as well, but Plumley was there. Here we go again. Nearly 2x2 as they go into the braking zone. Yuko Leskola is going to have the advantage going into Le Mans this time around. Caroline just hanging off the back of this, watching like a tiger waiting for his prey to make a mistake here. My goodness, this is intense stuff. Plumley, though, wants to try and take advantage of Phil Lake, but I think he popped out a little bit too early. Look at this. Yuko Leskola, though, moving up to the high side, trying to give Plumley a little bit of a draft to try and make Phil Lake have a disadvantage. But Yuko Leskola losing that position now. Plumley, being very opportunistic, gets in line with Phil Lake and bump drafts him towards the start-finish line. Nick McConnell thinks about making it 3 wide.
Boafia almost in there as well, but he's actually going to take 4th as they break deep down into the first turn. Too deep for Yuko Leskola, and he'll get back into second place. Plumley almost makes contact with Boafia, who thankfully backs out of it on the way up into the International Horseshoe. So it is now a 5-car fight with almost 15 minutes left to go to decide the championship.
But as it stands, if Phil Lake is part of this front pack and Yuko doesn't win, Phil takes the championship. So Yuko has to keep pressuring Phil Lake, has to force Phil Lake into a mistake. Otherwise, this isn't going to happen for him. Carradine up into that 4th position, putting pressure on Plumlee. Yuko Leskola and Phil Lake both locking up their front right tires as they come onto the... Oh my gosh, they're so fast coming off of this corner. 2nd position, GTPs is not a problem. Farron Grau got stuck up behind Javier Del Olmo coming through the kink. That's lost him about 2 seconds.
Indeed, and that puts him well out of reach of Vaughn, but the traffic could pay him back, and Vaughn could get checked up a little later on. Now, you mentioned if Lake is within the top 5, that's not necessarily so. 5th place is 16 points, 3rd place is 20. And again, if they finish on a tie, it's more wins to Yuko Leskola, and he'll take the championship. So Yuka could finish as low as 3rd if Lake is down in 5th, and they are actually going to go 3 wide for the lead this time.
All right, so is Plumlee going to stick it out this time on the outside? Let's see how brave he gets. He decides not to. It's going to be side by side between our 2 championship contenders again. Oh, Yuko takes it too deep again. A little bit of a rear slide. Carradine, looking like he's not going to be Yuko's friend today, goes side by side with the 2nd place of the championship driver.
Oh, just about has him before they get to the right-hander, and then he has to give it up. So as he comes now through the kink, they've still got their 2 friends behind them, and they've also got some traffic. Mike Olson, Jeff Furcon coming up pretty quickly, and I think that's a battle for position. It is, although very low down. Let's see if they play nice.
Olson's going to have a hard time getting by all of these drivers before we get to Le Mans. Look at Yuko, a great launch off of the corner that time around. He'll have a good opportunity to go side by side with Phil Lake approaching Le Mans, and he does go side by side. There goes our GTPs. They're going to make things interesting here on the exit of the banking. Yuko Leskola moves over for him, and that's Jeffrey Furcon. He's not going to be able to get into these GTOs before the time they get to the Le Mans chicane. Yuko Leskola takes the lead away from Phil Lake.
So back into 2nd he goes. Furcon doing the right thing. Great job there by the 32, waiting patiently. He knows this is an important battle, and he's letting them try to sort it out. Looks like Mukanos wants to try and get back into it. And, oh, interesting message from Carradine. Just said that he will stay out of the way if they want him to.
I'm pretty sure that that's probably going to be a negative for both of them, to be honest with you. I think both of these drivers want a good fight from everybody that they race against, regardless of the championship implications. They just want Carradine to not wreck them, and I think they'll be okay.
Coming down into the braking for the International Horseshoe.
Respect to Carradine to realize that he's coming in on the last race of a championship and realizing how close this is for them, how hard they've been fighting, and not wanting to get in the way of that. I respect that a lot.
Absolutely. And Carradine's a unique character for sure. One of the few times that we'll see the Africa and South Africa club, as that was Jeffrey Furcon having a bit of a spin up of the tires and interrupting that battle for a 2nd time, but thankfully everybody got out the other side.
And Timothy Vaughn, our leader in the GTPs, now cutting through this lead battle in the GTOs for the first time. 2nd time, rather.
Yeah, so Vaughn going to go by side lead battle for the GTOs. And now Jeffrey Furcon once again finding himself sandwiched between each of them and able to sprint away as he comes out of the Le Mans chicane. Unfortunately for fans of Nick Mukanos, I think he has been dropped. Unless they have a lot of fighting that slows them up, I'm not seeing him catching back up at this stage.
Phil Lake with a head of steam, he's going to make the move on the outside, hits that wall of air, and it just slows down the car so much. It's just absolutely a wall of air there as Aitor Sintes Galindo sweeps around the outside. Yuko Leskola on the brakes harder, but he's going to make contact with Aitor. That's going to send Aitor off. Phil Lake takes the opportunistic move up the inside. Carradine going to try and take away 2nd position from Yuko Leskola.
Well, the good news for Aitor is that that doesn't really affect him other than maybe a little bit of hurt ego, as he's already got the championship clinched for him.
Oh, that's Farron Grau.
And Farron Grau coming
Second position.
Wait. Now, did Grau had his own off then?
Yes.
That was a completely separate incident where he spun up the tires.
So Farron Grau now loses that position to Ove Terangare, who's now in second somehow. Everyone's having struggles this race of the GTPs just to keep the cars on track, while the GTOs are having their own epic battle for the championship win.
It always seems to happen right next to them on top of things. But right now, Lake leads, Buafia leads, Leskala, Plumley still in fourth, Mukanos is outside draft range. It's up to 2.3 seconds. But the top four still able to potentially change and swap things around multiple times before this race is over. That was Farron Grau sneaking through that time before they got to the Le Mans chicane.
And now they got Aitor Santos Galindo, who's going to sneak through as well. Plumley starting to get dropped a little bit by this group. Yuka Leskala, I think his best opportunity is actually to push Carradine up to Phil Lake and try and get Carradine to challenge Phil into turn one and try and take advantage of the two of them if they get slow. That's exactly what he's done. Now he's going to follow Carradine through. This is such a smart move from Yuka Leskala to try and push another competitor up ahead of the driver he's challenging to try and take away this position. But Phil Lake, good on the brakes there. He's going to slot in right behind Carradine, who sweeps around the outside and takes over the race lead.
10 minutes to decide this thing, and still nobody has a clue who is going to be our champion. As we come through the international horseshoe, a little bit of an attack around the outside, but Leskala probably knew that one wasn't going to work. No, he pulls the beautiful switchback. Oh, but he doesn't have enough after the shift.
Oh man, these two drivers, so tense between the two of them. Now remember, second position to third position is only a 2-point gap. So even if Yuka Leskala makes it by, Phil would have to drop more positions. Nose to tail contact for the two of them. Robert Plumley feeling like he can absolutely take advantage of this. He doesn't want to let Carradine get away either. He wants to try and win this race, but a little bit loose off the corner means he's going to lose a little bit of speed to these two.
1.3 seconds. I think Buafia might run away with this one, which is, again, bad news if you are Yuko Leskala. Now, I need to see. Yeah, okay, so if Yuko finishes second and Phil finishes fourth, the championship goes to Yuko. So he does want to at least say, no, he cuts the course. He's going to avoid running into anything or anyone, but that might be the slipstream for him. Let's see if he can hold on.
He's going to keep his foot in it, but he's got a cut course penalty for sure right now.
I'm watching we have the black flag information on our screen. It's not going away yet. It's still not going away. He needs to lift more than this, surely.
He's got 30 seconds to pay it back, and he's hoping that the infield will allow him to do that. He's starting to lift a little bit now.
He did it. So he's good now. But he kept it within the slipstream of these two, which is the good news for him. Still within about 1.2 seconds between Lake and Buafia. They've got Laust Olsen approaching from behind.
Absolutely. So Carradine's starting to run away from these guys. Not that much of a surprise. Farron Grau's had a problem.
Another one. This time in the other horseshoe.
Yeah.
Last time he spun his tires coming out of the International. This time he outbraked himself. So opposing ends of the infields having opposing ends of issues on corners. And this time he hit the wall very hard.
I'm not necessarily sure why outbreaking the laps Jeffrey Furcon was necessary, but unfortunately that's going to set him way back. But Phil Lake still has Plumley between himself and Yuko Leskala. This is the best case scenario for Phil. Carradine 2.5 seconds ahead of these guys. He's free and clear. Plumley now trying to make it past Phil.
It's that infield portion. When they came through turn one, it was 1.2 seconds. He was 7/10 faster in that part alone. Lake is going to defend on Plumley to prevent him from putting him in a compromising situation championship-wise. But I don't think Plumley is going to sit there and take that after just one defense. He is going to keep attacking until they get to the checkers.
Well, here's my thought. If I'm Phil Lake, I let Plumley go and I just let Leskala go, and I just try and cling to the back of Leskala the rest of the race, because that accomplishes the goal that you set. you just need to be within a couple positions. But these guys instead are going to do the side-by-side battle to make things exciting for us, and I appreciate it.
Heavy into the braking, just feeds in front of him. So Lake retains that second position. Leskola in third. Plumley still down in P4.
Oh, wreck ahead. Jason Clapper and Tyler Moody had a wreck just ahead of our leader, Caradine Boafia, who is now only 1 second ahead of Phil Lake and Yuka Leskola, so this brought everyone back together.
For a track that I would not have figured it would be difficult for the interclass traffic, it has caused us a little bit of problems out there today, and we had another problem with Jason Clapper. Not sure if that was related.
All right, so Phil is definitely within draft range of Caradine, but got a little bit loose off the corner. If Yuka Leskola, if he wants to win this race, he's going to actually have to push Phil up to Caradine, but decides he's going to try and make the move anyway.
So goes around the outside. Just in front of them, a bunch of the GTPs just blasted through. That was Carlos Fonseca and Diego Mastretta coming out of the Le Mans chicane. Actually, great run from Phil here. He's got it down to 6/10 up to Caradine. How did they gain that back?
Well, remember, Caradine got held up in turn 1 due to some lap traffic. And Phil, wow, Yuka Leskola does not want to work with Phil Lake at all. And he's just trying to go side by side with him. That is the lapped Gabriel Lede that they're going to go 3 wide by at the start-finish line. But look how close they are now to Caradine. Caradine, he's best in this infield sector, but if Phil can stay with him, he might have another shot at the lead here. Robert Plumley only 1 second back of these guys.
5 minutes left to go now, and Boafia has another blink, unfortunately. Plumley struggling a little bit now. Late in the race, seems like his tires might have gone out. Oh, and Caradine goes off track. That's going to hand the lead easily over to Phil Lake. Now, unfortunately, this is a double-edged sword, as this means that Lake now has to worry about Leskola getting into the lead again.
Remember, Leskola, he needs Leskola to be only 1 position ahead of him. If Leskola wins the race, Phil has to be in second. So believe it or not, this is actually not a good thing for Phil Lake that he takes over the lead, because Leskola is going to challenge him. Here we go again.
Yeah, Leskola wants this lead over anything else, and they're going to go side by side. Trying to figure out how many laps we have left to go. Looks like it's going to be 3 to go at the line, I think. Coming down to the braking. And even though he's got the inside, is Lake not going to have this one? Nearly makes contact, does rub up against the rear of the bumper. Unbelievably close stuff between these two, but such trust between longtime rivals.
Absolutely. These two, honestly, if they weren't fighting it out on track all the time, they'd probably be the best of friends. This is some of the closest racing you will see on the iRacing service between Phil Lake and Yuka Leskola as they're duking it out for the championship lead right now. Lars Olsen has a problem. He's pulled over and parked the car. He's done for the day. Phil Lake trying to make it around the outside of Yuko, takes it late on the brakes. Is it too late? The answer is yes. He's way too wide. This opens the door for Caradine, who cannot stick his nose through, but Phil Lake cannot give this position away to Caradine. That would be the end of his championship.
Has to hold on to the second position at least, or if he loses it, he needs Caradine to pass on Yuka Leskola, and that creates an interesting situation. If Caradine goes by on the last lap, if you're stuck in third and you're Phil Lake, do you try to push Caradine onto the win, or do you try to overtake him?
It's going to depend. That's very dependent on the relative speeds of yourself, Caradine, and Yuka Leskola. I don't know if you can push Caradine to the win with how he's blinking today, to be honest with you, Joe. But the other thought is, I don't know if you could push him to the lead regardless of if he's blinking, just because of the wall of air that comes through. So it's going to be a real challenge for sure. But Phil Lake, with a decent gap and a lot of draft off of Yuka Leskola, he needs a good run through Le Mans, and then he'll have a good opportunity to at least be nose to tail with Yuko coming into turn 1. But Phil seems to have a good understanding of Le Mans and get a good run out of it almost every time now.
And I think there's a chance they might be caught by Timothy Vaughn on the last lap, which could also play a part of this. Whether or not they get an extra lap to fight this out. Phil Lake approaching, and he's going to go for the lead.
They will get an extra lap because Vaughn's coming through the bus stop now, and Vaughn is...
He's going to take the white flag this next time by.
Yes, he is, but he's still about 20 seconds back, and they're not separated by 20 seconds lap time. But Phil Lake tries it again around the outside, getting loose. He can't keep doing that. Kierdine's going to try something here. He's looking up the inside, thinks better of it. Oh, man, if I'm Kierdine, I am definitely weighing whether or not I want to be part of... make the difference in this championship battle.
There was contact there between Lake and Boafia coming into the International Horseshoe as Lake tried to defend and kind of outbraked himself, got slowed down at the apex. He's still within range as they go through the Western Horseshoe now. He's going to get a nice tow once again. I don't know. This is going to be awful close on if they're caught by Vaughn or not.
No, it's 15 seconds back, and they're 10 seconds a lap separated on time, so they're going to get this extra lap. Vaughn on the white flag himself right now. Vaughn just exiting now onto the banking.
Sintez Galindo trying to get himself at least a second place. He's fighting with Ove Trangarade here at the end of this race, but we got to keep our eyes pretty closely affixed to the battle for the lead in the GTOs. There you see the battle for P2 in the GTPs. So Leskala now pulls along Lake, and they're starting to drop Boafia. This is great news for Phil.
It really is, but we do need to go to Timothy Vaughn to see him take the checkered flag. Vaughn, hard-fought victory, trying to make very few mistakes as we see Phil Lake trying to go around the outside of Yuko. We'll get back to that in a moment, but Timothy Vaughn, on a good run today, is going to come home and take the victory here at Daytona.
I think that is the first win of the season for Timothy Vaughn. Well done to the number 4 with a huge gap to those behind. Speaking of which, it is going to be a big gap to everybody behind the top 4 in the GTOs, as they're the only ones to be able to finish on this lap. And unfortunately for Phil Lake, one of those still in the hunt is Boafia.
Yeah, but Boafia is 8/10 behind Phil Lake right now. Phil just needs to hold this status quo, and he will have the championship. Yuka Leskala hoping that Kieradine will make a mistake. Honestly, Yuko's best opportunity to win the championship, Joe, is to slow up and try and put Phil Lake in a position where he gets passed by Kieradine.
I can't see Leskala trying to use those sort of tactics. I think he wants to win this one fair and square. So the one who is ahead is not in a position to take the championship as it sits. Boafia about a second behind. He could still pull them in, shockingly, from there. It'll depend on the exit from this corner. Lake is going to want to be on it as much as possible. He needs the biggest exit he's ever had. It doesn't look great, though. And this is bad news. Boafia is within about 7/10 of a second. Does he hold position to allow Phil Lake to take the championship? He's going to be gaining, but I don't think it's going to be enough. It's going to be Yuko Leskala who takes the win here in the final round, but not the championship, who goes to Phil Lake.
What an epic race that we had down to the line for all of these drivers. I mean, Joe, what a great conclusion to an epic season, honestly, between Yuka Leskala and Phil Lake. Phil with his consistency, Yuko with his speed, amazing to see, and Phil doing the classic Audi high rate burnout to finish this race off and to finish this championship.
Oh, you can see it, even though he's got multiple championships already, this one still means the world to him. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. We just saw Timothy Vaughn take the win here for the final round of the season in the Kamel GT Series. Ove Trangrade was a whopping 18 seconds behind, and it was only 0.3 of a second down to the final step of the podium with Heitor Sintez Galindo trying to fight him the whole way. Javier Mascara was a little ways back in fourth. And how about Jack David Spickett? Didn't set a qualifying time, went from 20th to 5th as Farron Grau had to settle for P6, did not have a good day. Carlos Fonseca was 7th, and then Diego Mastretta was 8th. You've got Romain Bello in the 9th spot, and Emerson Gaudin rounds out your top 10. Unai Lamas in the 11th spot was followed by Kurt Clapper in 12th. You've got Ed Ray in 13th, and Martin Krejcik, unfortunately, having a poor showing today in 14th. Jeffrey Furcon was 15th, and Laust Olsen, one of our other drivers with a retirement late in the race, in 16th. Clapper, Cortinez, Olsen, Sorovikin, Power, Leslie, Graham, and Saucier DNFs today.
And then we get the GTOs where Yuko Leskala took yet another win on the season. But Phil Lake, coming home in second, is able to clinch the championship. Caradine Boafia, after starting from the 15th position, able to claw his way up to third, and probably could have done better a little bit, providing the traffic helped out. Robert Plumley, though, he was in there the whole time trying to ruffle the feathers of Yuko and Phil, unable to do so and falling back to 4th position by the end of the race. Nick Picanos, after getting caught out by traffic on the exit of the infield section, lost the draft and fell back to 5th position, with Pablo Rangel, after battling up front early on, falls back into the 6th position, with Javier Del Olmo outbreaking himself into the International Horseshoe, falling back to 7th. Mark Olay, having a wreck, comes home in 8th today, with Hideki Koibisto having made some contact as well in 9th. Jose Wilcox, first time we've seen him racing around here in a while, comes home in the 10th position. And then we've got Gregorio Buscemi, Javier Delgado, 11th and 12th, Gabriel Letty, Tyler Moody, Gianluca Gabbiani, Jamie Hamill-Smith, Miguel Perez-Adessa, and Andre Schumacher rounding out your GTO drivers.
Looks like we've got our third place finisher and current reigning champion in the GTPs ready to talk to us. Heitor Sintez Galindo, not able to get the 5 wins so that he could at least hold that over at Maciejewski, but still comes away with the championship and another podium to his tally. Heitor, let's talk about the start of the race, though. We saw you had a little bit of a problem coming through the infields and found yourself off in the grass. Was that completely unexpected, or were you anticipating the car being that loose at the start?
Well, we had a couple of practice races, and it was somewhat expected in a race, but definitely when I was taking that corner, the first lap, it was definitely not expected. So maybe it was a gust of wind, or I don't know, the track temperature was too high for what I expected. Yeah, it was, well, a mistake. Let's say the first mistake of the season, probably the last race. So, well, can be healthy. But yeah, good podium in the end. So I'm glad that.
I guess better the mistake now that you've had things all wrapped up than earlier on and be nervous coming here today. After that, though, you tried your best to try and catch up, but it seemed like Timothy really kind of had the measure of everybody. Are you kind of keeping an eye on him for next season then?
Absolutely, yes. I expect him to be as quick as, well, these races, and yeah, I'm definitely keeping an eye on him, because yeah, at Oran Park he was very, very quick, and if it weren't because it was Oran Park, like no place to overtake, he would have taken me. And yeah, today he was first row with me, so yeah, I'm definitely catching up while keeping an eye on him, and see next season we can have a very nice battle.
Well, again, congratulations on another podium and the championship. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Well, yes, the usual guys. You guys for putting on an amazing broadcast. My family and friends are watching. My teammate Ferran, who had a really good race up until some point. And yeah, the Kamel community as well. Again, my family. I like them all. So also congrats to Phil. Shout out to him. I think he's a champion. So yeah, thanks everybody, and see you in the first round and Le Mans.
Looking forward to that. Heitor Sintes Galindo, third place today. Speaking of Phil, a single point in the end as Adam is going to talk to our once again crowned champion.
Yeah, Phil, phenomenal race today between yourself and Yuko Leskala side by side multiple times, but finally coming home with that second place that you've needed for 3 rounds, really. Talk to me about your championship today.
Yeah, after last week, I kind of was hoping to wrap it up last week, like I said, and then this not have to do this race, or at least not need a result for this race, because there was 5 people that could have won today. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's not my normal style in these slipstream races. I don't usually fight so much. But I was just trying to make it as messy as possible. I just didn't want, as long as Yuko wasn't getting away, and everyone else was still in the pack, I thought that I had a good chance of either him not winning or me getting the second that I needed.
Well, it seemed like both of you had the same strategy. Yuko trying to make you make a mistake. Phil, you were trying to make Yuko make sure that he didn't get away. But, first you guys had Robert Plumley sticking his nose in there trying to take the win away. And then Carradine shows up. And we all know how fast Carradine is. Was that making you sweat a little bit since you're trying to stay within one position of Yuko?
Absolutely, yeah. Me and Nick were talking about Carradine before the race because he hadn't put a qualifying lap in, so I thought maybe he'd been disconnected, which happens to him quite a lot. And then about halfway through the race, Nick was like, "Oh, Carradine's 5 seconds behind," and I was like, "Oh, great." So at one point, he made his way all the way to the lead, and I was just trying to hold Yuko up and let Carradine get away, and I thought, well, this is like a good strategy, just let Carradine win, and then Yuko can't get the points he needs. But that didn't work because there was the 3 of us, we caught him back up again. So even though I was trying not to, we ended up back in a group. Yeah, but it's great fun driving with all these guys. I haven't really raced with Robert much, so that was fun. He kept it clean. And then obviously Nick's great to race with, and Yuko I've been racing with for ages, and Carradine as well. So it was a really fun race to end the season off with.
Yeah, and I've been hearing rumor around the paddock from you mostly that this might not just be the end of the season for you, but you're taking a indefinite break from the series. Is the word that I'm hearing?
Yeah, as you know from my interviews and probably from the Discord server too, I've been a bit unhappy with some of the GTPs this season. And my motivation to race is really, really dropping towards the last few races here. And yeah, I don't think I'm gone forever, but I'll probably just be jumping in. I know we're hoping to get Fuji on the schedule for next season, so I'll definitely be showing up for new tracks and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm definitely, I won't be running the full season next season.
Well, Phil, in that case, I just want to say it's been amazing to watch you race. It's been amazing to race alongside you back when I used to. Is there anyone you want to thank for your time here on the Kamel GT broadcasts, at least for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, I mean, you guys as always. All the original Kamel guys, the whole my team, Dirty Talk, the whole team came out of Kamel. So Jamie, Rob, Nick, Dave Peterson, Clay, Keith Ritchie. I'm probably forgetting people, but all those guys like John Keith that have been here forever. I don't think the series would have made it without those guys. So it's really awesome to see now that we're getting good grids every week, good decent sized grids. Even Iran Park was more than 20 drivers, which is pretty good for Iran. So yeah, just all the guys that keep the series going. I'm sure they will continue to keep the series going. Yeah, and it's been a really great. I think it's been 5 years, 6 years. So yeah, it's been a really long time. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the races next season.
Well, let me tell you, it's been a blast to commentate these races, and the Audi is still one of my favorite cars to drive. So Thank you again for all of your time and effort and the great racing you put on this season, Phil. And we look forward to seeing you when we see you.
Thanks, Adam.
That was Phil Lake, who finished in second today and wins the GTO Championship yet again. And Joe has caught up with, I believe, first-time winner Timothy Vaughn.
Yes, we know for sure first-time winner this season, but is this your first win ever on the broadcast races for Kamel, Tim?
100%, yeah. This is my first season, and to end it off with a win is absolutely incredible.
That has got to feel good. It looked like so many drivers out there today, especially in the Nissans, were struggling. Do you attribute that mainly to this being such a low downforce track, or what do you think was causing others to have issues where you did not?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. I had a fight with Farron for the first half of the race, and both of us seemed to be going fine without any trouble. And then I guess towards the second half, maybe just as the tyres were out, you get lower on fuel, the car gets a bit more unstable. Maybe other guys were having issue. I'm not sure if it was traffic. I found I didn't have too much issue with traffic today. I don't think you'd really expected Daytona to have too much issue, but yeah, I'll have to watch it back to see what sort of issues everybody else was having. But I mean, yeah, I guess I got lucky today, maybe.
We also saw what surprised me was quite a bit of, or at least from our perspective, what seemed like interclass issues. And this is a track that's kind of known for the oval portion, allowing easy passes. Did you experience much in the way of headaches trying to overtake the GTOs?
No, to be honest. In my practice, actually, I mean, because I only practice in the evening, NZ, so you don't really get too many GTOs. And I did see one, and I did punt him, so I was a little bit nervous going into the race. But yeah, everything seemed fine on my end. And as you say, I wouldn't really expect Daytona to have too many issues with traffic. And I mean, you had that big GTO lead battle going on, 5 cars, and you sort of just think, oh, I don't want to mess these guys up.
I think you either finished 4th or 5th in the championship, and I believe Aitor said he is going to be coming back to try and defend his crown. So are you going to be the man that tries to fight him for it next season?
Look, I'm just going to keep turning up, just going to keep trying to get good, consistent results, and if that leads to a championship battle, then that would be amazing.
Oh, again, congratulations on getting that maiden win. Anybody you want to thank?
Just thanks to you guys, to everybody who's turned up this season. It's been a lot of fun, my first season. I'm really excited to come back next one. Yeah, thanks to you guys for the broadcast. Thanks to everyone in NZ, and congratulations to Phil as well. I know this season took a lot out of him, so congratulations on his win.
So that was Timothy Vaughn, your victor here today at Daytona International Speedway for the Kamel GT Series. That's going to wrap us up. So we also want to give a big thank you to the Kamel GT community ourselves for bringing us back for another season of coverage, but also thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Adam, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media, and make sure to check out our merchandise store. It's gsrc.storenvy.com, and there's a link down in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. The next race will be June 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern, but we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out, mark them down on your calendar, including right this second. The Majors 24 is still on. Lots of racing left to go. Make sure and tune in to that. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.